Serving the African American community. 104.7 FM, AM 1350, WLOU Louisville, the People Station.
The following program is paid for by The Tipping Point.
You are listening to The Tipping Point Show with your host, Mr. Just Ask Joe, John Yeah. Right here on WLOU. Stream it live on Facebook and WLOUonline.com. And now.
Man, what is going on? What is going on, everybody? Welcome once again to another week, another episode of the Tipping Point Morning Show. Welcome once again out there in Radio Land. Welcome online. It is yours truly, Mr. Just Ask Joe. And I got with me my brother from another mother, always right here on the Tipping Point Morning Show, Mr. Esoteric Concepts himself, Brother John Yah. How you doing there, family?
I'm awesome, brother. How about yourself this morning?
Man, I am doing fantastic. It's another day in the neighborhood. And
yes, it is.
It's a beautiful day, man. It's the perfect time of year, man. I love this weather outside, that fall weather. You know, it's getting to where it's just, you know, in the 70s and during the day and 60s at night, you know, starting to get a little bit cooler, but it's perfect time, perfect weather, man, because it's so much easier to throw on some layers and dress warm, man. But when you start, you know, summertime, man, it gets so hot, man. You can't be naked because they'll lock you up for that, man. But you just can't take off enough clothes in the summer. It's too hot.
Yeah, I know, but you know, it's one thing noticing that the weather's changing and summer's on its way out the door. And so here we are now getting ready to approach another season. So it was good, basically, with Dr. Akmal giving his free class to talk about the autumn.
Oh, man,
where
that was
we
awesome.
need to improve. Yeah, where we need to improve our diet, because here's the thing. Here come another virus. It's going to be on its way, guarantee you. And so you better get your body ready because they're going to create another a variant. And you got to take another shot, and you're going to have to continue to do that over and over again. But I think more people are waking up to realize this is a hoax. And really all you need to do is take care of yourself. But guarantee you there's another variant coming. They got to put the scare down again. People are becoming too relaxed, and they're moving away from the bull, right? So be prepared. And it was a great thing that Dr. Akmal did. I aired it live on my esoteric page and my Facebook page because you need to really focus on your health this coming what's coming next is because here come winter, so you better be pumping up your vitamin C and your zinc, and you'll get whatever vitamin D you can get from whatever supplements because it's going to be about your health now, baby.
Yes, sir. I tell you right now, man, I have my amazing immune booster tea that I'm drinking right now. But you know, that's interesting that you say that, you know, and just let everybody know we got an amazing show for you. 9:10 or so. We're gonna have an amazing guest, Brother Edwin Fox, calling in, and we're gonna talk money, shmoney, all day. So remember, 502-776-1350, folks. You can call in and you can ask whatever questions you like, as we are talking about money today. But you know, when you start talking about this variant, why do they call it variant, John? I don't get it, because the reality is that virus never goes away. The makeup of a virus is to simply mutate, right? So every year they come out with new flu vaccines. By the time you take it, there's a new strain. So it really doesn't matter anymore. And so people don't really take the flu virus anymore because, I mean, your body knows it. Your body understands the properties. A new mutated variant, if you will, comes out every year, and it's a new strain. So that's what viruses do. It doesn't go away during the summer or anything like that. It's just you got the sunlight out. So vitamin D is one of the biggest fighters of influenza, right? So influenza is simply a lack of vitamin D. Ultimately, it's amazing that people will even get. I do life insurance, and people get prescribed medication for seasonal depression. And I coached a lady one time. She says, "Yeah, my doctor prescribed it to me because in the wintertime I get depressed." I said, "Really?" So I thought about that, and I said it's ridiculous because it's just a lack of sun, lack of vitamin D. Your doctor needs to prescribe you some vitamin D, and maybe you should walk to work from time to time with your heavy coat on and soak up a little bit of that sunlight out there wintertime. But it's just crazy, man, because people right now they got this whole variant thing, and is it a variant or is it simply just a new strain? You know what I mean?
It's just a new strain. Okay, always viruses always come out every year, and they come out with a different strain, but they carry the same strain of the last virus, and this is why it's very important for your own immune system to get the last variant or the last virus, so it can protect itself against the new one. That's just how the works. But here's something that's very interesting if you've been paying attention to the news and what's going on in Australia. When you watch what they're doing in Australia and other countries, this is what makes you love this country most. And here's why. The Constitution that we have protects us against us from doing anything or being forced to do anything. And this is the key. One of the things I say is the First Amendment, your right. It's a right that for your religious belief or whatever, it's a right that you exercise. And think about what they're doing in Australia, where now you can't even cross state lines according to their proverbs. The state line is and going into another proverbs. You can't do it now without a passport or proof that you have. Well, in this country, I can go across state lines with no problem. And imagine if they try to do that here, what will cause people uproar. So thank God we're living in America, and thank God for the Constitution, because there's a lot of people fighting in other countries don't have that backing of the Constitution like we have here.
Man, people all the time, especially a lot of us, America this, America that, America done put its foot on my neck, America. Some of y'all are contortionists. And you got your own foot on your own neck. That's the problem. Why you not moving where you want to be. But the thing about it is that, man, when you really look at it, it's true. What you just said is so true. I was reading a story the other day, a lady in Russia, on NPR and whatnot. She's locked up. She's head of a group that protests, right? Could you imagine that? They here in America, they go and lock up all the Black Lives Matters heads of protest and other protesting organizations. They lock you up for that and throw you in jail for that. In America, we ain't got to worry about that. And so you can say what you want about America, but I'm gonna tell you right now, America gives you the ability to get out here and make it shake, and do as you need to, do as you want to, do as you choose to. So saith you, in accordance to you. And we got these constitutional rights that if you actually take time to understand them, then you can utilize them in your favor. It's interesting. I used to tell people all the time, when it comes to taxes, man, Congress makes tax laws, but guess what? All of us get to utilize those laws. A lot of Congress people have businesses. You might think it would be a conflict of interest because they sit there and make those tax laws and it favors the businesses that the majority of them have. But guess what?
Exactly.
We all have the ability to participate in those same tax laws and guarantee those same business write-offs as anyone else if you take the time to pay attention to it instead of walking away from it and saying, oh no, that ain't got nothing to do with me. The Constitution ain't for us. Okay, all right, well, you go around, keep thinking that, but I'm gonna be over here trying to get these tax benefits and write-offs and everything else, right?
Man, speaking about tax write-offs and businesses, we got a great guy coming on, Edwin Fox with Raymond James. He is my first financial advisor. I met him about 12, 15 years ago, and he gave me some golden advice. And every time this guy speaks, you better pull out your pen and paper and start writing stuff down. So this guy here is awesome. We're going to learn about some stocks. If you don't know, please pay attention. We're going to talk about dividends. We're going to talk about different stocks, the way to invest, how to look them up. So we got a powerhouse coming for you today. So please get your pencil and paper ready and take some notes, because we're going to talk about what you can do during this pandemic that's going on, how you can invest, what you should invest in at this period.
Money man Edwin Fox is on the phone.
All right. And I guess without further ado, without further ado, we are going to bring to you folks an amazing individual, Brother Edwin Fox. Everybody knows him here in the city of Raymond James. Brother Edwin Fox, how you doing today? Welcome to the Tipping Point Morning Show.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. I have to say, that's a tremendous introduction. I thought, my Lord, thank you very much. I'm glad to be on and everything, and talking about investments. That's a challenge.
Absolutely.
A lot of people don't know a lot about investments. How to build wealth. That's the question I hear all the time. How do you build wealth? Well, you got to realize about 40% of the wealth is held in home ownership. And that's an area where we've fallen short as African Americans.
Oh, man.
Average white Americans.
Hey, bro. You are a powerhouse, because you are already digging right in. This is Mr. Just Ask Joe, and Brother John Yah is right here with us, and we definitely want to dig in. But real quick, first and foremost, tell the people who you are, who you work for, how long you've been doing what you're doing. And I know I looked up Raymond James. They were founded back in, I think, 1962. Kind of an interesting story there. But definitely tell us about yourself, who you are, and what you do.
Sure. I've been a financial professional for Raymond James, I've been with them 11 years, but I've been a financial professional for 23 years. Worked for Edward Jones coming into the market, and then I worked for AIG, and then now with Raymond James. Basically, I help people figure out how to not only build wealth, but starting out manage their money. How to budget, how to think about paying down debt, because you can't build wealth until you pay down debt. And then I bought my first stock in 1981, right out of college. So I was fascinated with it. Matter of fact, when I was in college, I was in computer electronics, and a lab was closed, and my lab partner said he was going to take this class that would teach you how to read the numbers in the Wall Street Journal. Well, actually, it was personal finance. So that's the only reason that's led me to that after doing other careers in my life. But I enjoy, my focus is building African American wealth. I do seminars. I encourage people to buy stocks where they spend their money. And now let me say this: I can't actually identify any individual companies. That's regulation compliance.
Right.
But you think about every day as you go through life where you spend your money, from buying groceries to buying electronics to buying clothing, to what you order online. And we love it. It's convenient. We like the product, but we never think about owning the company that provides those type of services.
Absolutely.
Wow. So if we talk about stocks for a layman person, what is stocks, and what is it that you buy that you own a piece of in the company? How does that work, and how do you find companies that you think you should invest in, for the people that don't know about stocks or the people who are new to this area of investment?
Okay, great question. Well, a stock is a publicly traded company. Has board members, a shareholder, CEO that is traded on the New York Stock Exchange. That you can buy. You can go to a financial professional and find out if the stock has a rating on it. A lot of them do, and the ratings typically are from a strong buy to a buy to a market perform to a hold. A lot of these companies that we spend our money every day paying for their services usually are the dominant company in their industry. From companies that pick up your trash to companies that you go and buy your groceries every day to the company that the internet. A lot of these companies, when you buy it, you become an owner. Now you may be 1,000,000% owner, but you get to share in the value of the stock going up over time. Now stocks go up and they go down. We have recessions when they go down. We have 10% corrections almost every year. We were in a correction last month where the value of stock went down almost 5%. We've seen some corrections so far this month. But you got to think about these are companies that long term, over the next 5 or 10 years, the value of the stock is going to increase. And then by you owning that share of stock, and let's just say that share of stock, you bought it at $25 or $50. And let's say that 10 years or 20 years down the road, let's say you got 5 shares. Now that share of stock is worth $75 or $80. This is what they call learning how to put your money to work or getting your money working for you. Right now, banks, interest rates on banks are very low, 0.50 or less than 1%. But again, these are companies that you've probably been spending your money with them for 10 years, 20 years or longer, but you never gave thought. Owning a stock, basically, when you buy a stock, there's typically a fee, a charge, a one-time fee. Some stocks pay dividends. A dividend is a share of the profits that the company says we will pay you as a shareholder for being a shareholder. To give you an idea how much money is paid out, the S&P 500, okay, that's 500 companies that play a major role in the economic scene of America. Probably this year, last year they paid out almost $500 billion in dividends. They pay out a lot of dividends. So
now
when you go to shareholders.
Now, Brother Fox, when you start saying dividends, all right, so explain to people what that specifically means, because a lot of times people don't realize, and I learned this honestly within the past few years, when it comes to a dividend, looking for companies that pay out dividends, you can actually sit back and receive a nice income, every quarter or what have you, when it comes to dividends. And a lot of people don't realize that, that's the long play on a lot of these stocks. So explain to people exactly what dividends means and how you can create a nice income from it.
Okay, great question. Well, as I say, dividends start with the board voting to pay 1%, 2%. Some places there are dividends out there that you can see 5 or 6%. Oil companies used to pay a lot of dividends. Now the oil companies have changed over the years since now we're trying to have more clean energy. But basically, these are funds that, as a shareholder, that you would have your stock in an account, and on a quarterly basis, let's say that you had $10,000 and they were paying 2%. So you would get these dividends that would be deposited in your account on a quarterly basis. first quarter, 3 months, second quarter, third month, and over a period of 12 months, whatever your value of your portfolio is, they would pay you 2%, 3%. There are dividends out there of 4 to 5%, but the common dividend that you see out there is about between 1.5% to 2%. There are some companies that do pay higher dividends. Now, and pretty much depending on your portfolio, there are people out there that can receive from $2,000 or from, let's say, from $500 dividends a month, $300 dividend a month. I've seen portfolios that can generate $20,000 a year in dividends. There's a few bigger portfolios. When I say bigger portfolios, these are portfolios that over $1 million assets can generate from $40,000 to $90,000 in dividends on an annual basis. Okay, but the key of dividends, the benefit of dividends is, as a shareholder or as an investor, is that these dollars come in, they are reinvested in buying additional shares, and that's called compounding. And compounding is when you make money on principal and interest, or principal and dividends. And Ivan Einstein created a rule called the Rule of 72. That if you take 72 and divide it by the interest rate that you're getting on your money, and I tell our clients our goal is to get 7.5%. That means that on average, every 10 years or 9 years and 6 months, your amount that you have without adding a dime to it, if you have $10,000 and you get 7.5%, and that dividend plays a role in that compounding, that your money will double every 10 years.
Let me ask you this about dividends. Of course, now when you are getting your payout, and instead of you taking the payout and you allow that payout to go back into the dividend, like reinvesting in it, and your principal gets bigger, what is the downfall to having dividends? What is something I need to look for or look out for? And I'll give you an example. Let's say, for instance, I got money in dividends in a company and the company goes bankrupt. Do I still get my payout before they go all the way out? What would be the signs to let me know I need to cash in?
Well, it's really not a sign. And let me say this. Typically, when a company is able to pay dividends, that gives an indication that the company is financially stronger than most other companies. And that means the company typically has a stronger cash flow, positive cash flow, which means that if they pay all their bills, they still got some money left over. But there's really not an indication that I'd say that a signal that if you have dividends in there, but usually dividends usually indicate the stability or the strength, the financial strength of the company. And now I will say this: there is a benefit to dividend companies versus non-dividend companies, which are called growth companies, where they don't pay no dividends. Typically, in a down market, a statistic shows that dividend companies on a down market go down about half that of a growth company. I like dividends, okay? I encourage people to own dividend funds because it does reduce the risk on the downturn, because they go down less because they're paying out income. So that income helps you recover your value that on a decline, recession, a 5% decline, a 20% decline, it helps you recover your value at a faster pace than typically growth funds. But there's not really a marker out there that says gives you a signal, because in the end, when a company goes bankrupt, the bondholders are the first ones that will get their money. Before the shareholder be one of the last ones to get their money.
Okay, and one more thing about that dividends is very interesting. So now dividend is a set. In other words, if it's 9%, if it's 8% or 1%, that is set regardless of the stock of the company going up or down. In other words, that is just residual, going to be constant. If the company's not doing good in stocks, I still get my 1 or 2% monthly or quarterly, correct?
Well, yeah, that 1 or 2% will be in accord with the value of the share of the stock. Okay, so if the stock's trading at $50, 1% would be well. Let's say that I'll use even 10%. If it was trading at $50, 10% would be $5. So it's tied to the value of the stock a week or two before time of the dividend or time to pay. Oh, okay. So it's, dividends are always tied to the value of the stock. Percentage is tied to the value of stock trading.
Gotcha.
So I've seen companies that had up to 9%. Should that be an alarm or should that be a red flag? Is that good? 9%. I mean, I'm looking at some of these companies at 8-9%.
Well, there are companies out there. Yeah, I try to find a balance between a company's paying dividends and a company that's going to appreciate in value. What I mean, appreciate in value that over the next 12 months, let's say it's going to increase in value 7 to 10%. It mainly pays a dividend. Let's say that it appreciates in value 7%. Okay, let's say that the stock's trading at $100. In 12 months now, it's trading at $107, and you got a 7% return on your money. Okay, and then let's say the stock pays a dividend of 2%. If you add the appreciation of 7% plus the 2% dividend, that's a 9% return. So I try to find the balance between appreciation and dividend income. So it's kind of like two forces. Now, let me say the benefit of dividends. If you are a retiree and you have set up your retirement portfolio for monthly income, and the rule of thumb on that is that whatever the value of portfolio, that you shouldn't take no more than 4 to 5% income on an annual basis. So you have a portfolio that's creating 2.5% dividend. That dividend is paying 50% of your annual income going forward. So that's one of the reasons that I use dividends, because I have people that want to use their 401k or retirement and get monthly income off of it. Which to me, and that's like a pension. That's no different than you were getting a pension from the state or anything else. This is how that works. So dividends can play a very good role, long-term role, in providing you income, and that also sets up the table for passing along generational wealth to the next generation. In other words, it reduces the risk when you're running out of money before you see this world.
Now, I think that the stock market is one of the boogeymen for our community. What would you say to a person to help them understand, or to help fight against that ideology? It's like we scared of the police, we scared of taxes, and we scared of stocks. Those are like the three major boogeymen in the ADS, African American Black community. What could you say to a person that is thinking like that, Brother Fox?
Well, let me say that one of the challenges is we don't talk about money at the table. We don't talk about investing. We talk about a lot of stuff. We talk about entertainment, clothes, cars, politics, but we don't talk about money at the table. So that's something My parents didn't talk about money. Now, I saw them go to the bank with the passbook, get out their Christmas savings. Or my dad always had money, paid cash for a used car, but he didn't know about it. But today, this is a conversation that we should have when we gather and say, does anybody invest in the stock market? Tell me about it. How'd you get started? I don't really need to know how much money you got. Are you investing in stocks or mutual funds? What family of mutual funds do you use? What kind of rate of return do you use? We never asked anybody. I'll say this: have y'all asked anybody? Do you invest in the stock market?
Well, I mean, do y'all think that maybe part of the reason why is because white people's food is more bland than black people's food? Because if damn was some financial terms, then we'd have a whole lot to say. But just being a little facetious there. But why is it that it seems that is a conversation across the table? Is it because on the other side of the railroad tracks, people focus more on the leadership type role jobs versus on our side of the railroad tracks, it's more blue collar? Because I'm a life insurance agent myself. Actually, I have my own agency I just started this year, and I think what are the numbers in the financial industry? It's like less than 3% of the financial industry as a whole is minorities.
That's probably true. At my firm, I'd be surprised we got 50. They try to get more. Let me say that. 50 people of color that are financial professionals. Okay, and they try to get more. But let me step back and just share with you. I just had a cousin, 92, that passed away. He only has 10th grade education, and I was very close to him. Matter of fact, I talked to him a lot about it. But to make a long story short, he told me early in life that he worked for a public trading company. Early in life, he was buying savings bond, and he was a Korean War. He was a Korean in the Korean time, and he said that savings bond didn't make much. One of his coworkers said, "Reed, they opened up a 401k. He didn't know nothing about it, and the guy told him he needed to be part of it. So he was standing in line, and which the guy was white. He was standing in line. The guy in front of said, "Give me a third of stocks, give me a third of bonds, and give me a third of mutual funds." Andrews, when it's his turn, he said, "Give me a third of stocks, give me a third of bonds, and give me a third of mutual funds." Okay, and the guy told Mr. Reed he made a good choice, and they ended up setting his kids up for a generation of wealth, which he's gone to heaven.
Wow.
Now, the negative part about it was, I told him that he really needed to educate his kids about what he was doing, but he never did that.
So what was the?
Yeah, that talk.
Now, he's gone.
Go ahead.
He's gone.
Oh no, I was just go ahead, Joe. I had to.
Well, no, it just sounds like he's gone, but if we don't educate the kids,
they don't know.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
They don't know.
And they'll run through that. And they'll run through that money.
Yeah, and they know what I do, and they relatives, but they haven't called.
Wow.
Now one's already showed me he bought him a car, SUV, and gonna do some traveling.
Yeah,
I think we deal with that a lot.
So,
when I see in our
back to the same thing.
I see in our community where when we get lump sums of money like that,
right.
We don't know what to do with it.
That's right. And it's back to the other thing. Until we have a conversation about money, and we ask, "Do you invest? Do you own me?" So I just want to know about it and how you doing. I don't really want to know how much money you got. Can you educate me about that?
And I,
so until we start having these conversations, we're gonna be in the dark.
yes, I remember when I met you was I believe Malcolm Sanders was having you speak at JCC, and I remember attending one of those classes or when I met you. And I was already in business at the time. I think I was probably 10 years in. But after I got through talking with you, and I remember you was going to set me up with some angel investors, and you told me that I had to do a business plan. Well, one of the things that I had been in business for 10 years, but I didn't know nothing about business until after I did my business plan. I mean, my mind and I didn't need the investors after I did my business plan because I could look at every detail of what I was doing and what I needed to do. But when we talk about money, and Edwin, you've been in this for a long time, is our condition as a people, we can see that our condition is financial. Is there something blocking out there, maybe some mysterious group or whatever that's hanging over black people's head? The boogeyman syndrome. Is there anything going on with racism in stocks and owning stocks? Is there anything stopping us from gaining wealth? Meaning that is there a systematic racism, whatever we want to use those words, inside of gaining wealth
in the financial market that you dwell in?
Well, let me say that the door, the opportunity is wide open now. It used to be limited. Firms wouldn't do no business with you unless you had $20,000, $50,000. Even some firms today, unless you come in at $100,000, they're not really interested. But now they got all these apps where you can invest $20, $30, and they have some quality stock, and then they have some junk out there. So companies are more open. Well, let me say this: they estimated through the pandemic that 20 million young folks started investing. More people invest now than ever before.
Yes.
Okay. Now I got some young investors call and ask me to look up stocks. These are folks 20 years old, 22. My nephew, he checks with me before he buys a stock. He's 27 years old. So the revolution has started. I mean, there was a barrier prior to the pandemic, but the stock market is wide open because now you can invest small amounts. You don't have to have $50,000. You can buy small mini proportion of stock for $25 with these apps. I mean, there's a ton of them out there. And they realize that. And then you got some firms now that give you the ability to buy stocks without a fee to it. But again, everybody gets paid. It's just how they go back, making their money. So this is the time to think about what stock would you want to wear. One of the biggest stocks is a lot of time people don't think about is our passion for the type of tennis shoes we wear. And we never think about owning the company that makes the tennis shoes. Okay, we wear them out, we buy them, we may have multiple pairs of them, but we never think about looking at the company. If it's publicly traded, should that be a company that's part of my portfolio? So the boogeyman, is a lack of knowledge. And then we have the other individuals that have done well in the stock market, and really they don't tell their kids. They might tell them save you some money, get in your 401k. Now I'll tell you, both my kids, my son when he was in the 5th grade, I showed him our portfolio. My daughter, when she was in the 7th grade, I showed her the portfolio. My son is a financial advisor. My daughter is interviewing for a job to be a financial advisor.
Wow. Okay, and speaking about that,
all about
go ahead.
What you want to share.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all about what you want to share and answering the questions. I got a lot of relatives, but nobody ever asked me what you invested in. I tell them, but I don't push it down their throat. And I tell them you ought to be in your 401k and the whole 9 yards. Now I got a couple that call me wanting to help, but my friends, we friends, but we never talk about money. And my wife said, don't turn them off. They know what you do, so don't try to convince them to do business with you. That's probably good too, because that might damage the relationship. But
so brother Fox, let me ask you a question. Why don't you push it down people's throats? It sounds like there's some experience there that maybe when you first got started, you tried to continually share, but people, I know in a lot of spaces, well, us as a people in general, we tend to like John, you've spoken about this. We tend to have names for everything, and if you start talking stuff that people don't understand and it sounds like it's above their head, then all of a sudden you bougie and this, that, and the other. But is there a reason specifically why you don't, every time you get a chance, try to push it down your family and friends' throat?
Well, yeah, I do radio shows, I do seminars, I did seminars for my family. It's a great question. Why? But I've been doing this 23 years. They hear me on the radio and everything.
That's right.
I don't know. I mean, I can't answer that, but and I tell friends, if you want to bring your portfolio and take a look at it, I don't charge nothing to do that. I analyze it for you. I got some of the best software and financial reports. I break it down, and to that point, I break it down. I show them how much they need to save on an annual basis, where they can be by the time they're 65 years old. You can come in my office and talk to me free of charge. You can call me on the phone free of charge. You can do a Zoom with me free of charge. But you got to decide that you want to use your money to empower yourself and everything. Right. Now, I'll say this: I found that young folks want it. Okay, they want to do better. I got a ton of them, and I take them left and right. Okay, because they call up just asking a question. Their mother says, "Come see me." They come in and they like a sponge soaking it up. Okay, yes. So I can't change the current generation, but my focus is I can't have impact on the upcoming generation. So what does that mean? Yeah, my business financially doesn't grow as well, but seeing these young folks get their portfolio and have $20,000 in and $30,000 in it, and they 24 years old, I love it. So that's young folks want to learn, and they computer savvy too, where that it's hard for.
Is it hard to teach old dogs new tricks?
Well, yeah, I guess, but volatility of the market going up and down, the fear of losing money, not understanding the companies, even though you go out and buy the product of this company every year on a religious basis, and you got multiple products in your closet, or the type of technology you have in your house, or the clothes that you wear, or how you get the product to your house. It's so convenient, so easy. And then once you get it, you're happy to have it, but you don't think how much better off you'd be if you own a share, or 2 shares, or 10 shares of this company that ships this product and puts it on your front porch, and you get excited about opening the box up. And that's just, we get more excited about being a consumer and joys of entertainment than believing that you can become the 5% black wealth in America, or you become the 10% black wealth in America over time, over the next 20 years. Nobody told them that story. And
that's right.
We don't talk about that story. And the ones that have done that story are part of the story. They keep it a secret. Now, I'll say this. One thing I do know, Black America doesn't talk about money. White America does talk about money.
So
interesting.
Is it really a situation to where, you know, I mean, because, you know, and people say it that there were barriers before. I mean, I've been investing for some years. You know, as a matter of fact, my first financial advisor was a good friend of mine, and he fired me because he fired me as a client because I kept dipping into the funds. He had me invested nicely in a Pacific fund, and I kept dipping into it. But you know, so with that in mind, the availability has been there. You know, if you focused on saving more than you spend, then you've had the ability to get a financial advisor and you know, put your money somewhere. So is it really that there is barriers, or is it just our lack of knowledge and understanding about this area, or you know, area of business? Therefore, we just, as a people, more so than not, decide not to even focus on it because we just don't know.
Well, I'll say 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there was a lot of barriers. Okay. Now today, it's a lack of knowledge. I mean, and there's a fear too. Okay, it's kind of like what you don't understand. It's hard for you to overcome that. When you really think about it, when I got in this business, the stock market was $11 trillion. Now the value of the stock market is $50 trillion. It's like a huge piggy bank, and you got to figure out how to get some money out of the piggy bank for yourself. Okay, and you know, I wouldn't be surprised by the time I leave this world, or in another 10, 20 years, I'd be $100 trillion. And we'll still be having that conversation. Go ahead.
Correct. And let me speak on that barrier. When you mention the barriers, these barriers seem to me, as I understood them, to be a level of purchase, meaning just like a wholesaler or a distributor, you have to have a certain level to even get in the door to purchase. When I mention barriers, I mean barriers based on the color of your skin blocking you from investing. You mentioned, I remember day trading. Of course, day trading, to really invest every day, you have to have at least $25,000. If you invest in less than that, you can invest only twice a week. When you over amount in your account, in your trading account, you can invest every day. So when you mentioned about back then, it was $20,000, maybe $100,000. Those barriers was numbers, not barriers of the color of a person's skin. Correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Not the color skin, because keep in mind, when I got in this business, African American spending rate was about $300 billion. Now African American spending between $1.3, $1.4 trillion.
Correct.
So we got the money's passing through our hands. It's just not being allocated right.
Exactly.
But why we don't do that? Because we flooded with all kinds of messages of being a consumer. I mean, we get a ton of offers for credit cards in the mail. To advertise on TV, Facebook, all those places about buying stuff, pop-ups. So, but we don't get flooded with about buying a stock. We don't get flooded with about having a Roth IRA, an individual retirement account. We don't get flooded with messages. Think about putting 6 to 10% in your 401k plan or 403b. None of those messages are dominant out there. Only because, you know, America does one thing for you. Either it makes you wealthy or it makes you broke.
Exactly.
It's either or. It's either or.
So let me ask you a question now. There's a question from the crowd there. Shout out to Brother Frank Stoner. Would you invest in a 401k that does not match your funds? For instance, at a job, and the job doesn't match your funds. and can you even call that a true 401k? But how does that work? You know, would you invest in a 401k at a job where the job does not match the funds?
Yeah, yes, you do, because it still has vehicles in there that are going to return from, let's say, 4% to 15 or 20%, where that it can make your money work. And if you don't invest in it, then you're saying, I really don't need a retirement plan for old age. I'm just going to keep working till I drop, because Social Security only provides between 35 to 40% of your living needs.
I remember when I was a engineer at Bell South years ago, back when it was called Bell South. I remember a lot of the I guess we could use the term old heads. Those brothers, man, that been with the company like 30 years. If they invested their money properly, if they because the company matched and they did the max, when they came out, they had at least $1 million after those 30 years sitting in their 401k. Well over $1 million. Now, what's the difference between a person, finding an investment vehicle like that, putting money into it, versus having a financial advisor like yourself monitor their funds?
Well, it's kind of like, you think a team can win a football game without a coach?
No, they can't.
You got to have a strategy. You got to have a strategy. That strategy may be dividends, maybe growth funds, maybe growth and income funds, maybe a little bit of bonds in there. Also, some individual stocks. What is that called? Diversification.
So with that in mind, then, you definitely wouldn't recommend. I mean, it pays off to have a person like yourself manage one's money, and that's something that, I think we're scared of that as well, because we think somebody's out there trying to take your money, when it comes to companies and investment vehicles like this.
That's true. And let me say this, a lot of people I work with, I help them on their 401k. And then when it's time for them to retire, they wanted to all come with me. So, it's a positive for having a financial advisor or a financial professional that you may have an IRA or Roth with, but also let them help you on investment selection. And notice what I said, I'll say again, investment selection in your 401k, 403b, 457, whatever plan. Let them help you select the right investment as our economy changes. Our economy changes faster than we can cope with. We've been flooded with more information than our brain can even hold. Okay. And that's cause, and we really are in a technology revolution. No doubt about that. To get a job today, 77% of the jobs today you require computer knowledge. 30% of the jobs are done by machinery that's controlled by computers.
Wow.
So the technology to get a better result on your performance of your investors is there today, just from having software to look at the performance of investment, having financial reports that talk about the particular mutual fund, knowing what the rating of the mutual fund. Like mutual funds, they rate Morningstar rates mutual funds from 1 star to 5 stars. I try to stick with funds that have a 3 to 5 star rating on that. So looking at what the rating of mutual funds are, kind of like going to a doctor. You get a new doctor, you go in there, is he getting a 3-star, 4-star? You try to want one to get at least a 4-star better, that the patient say He does a good job. He asks me questions. He examines me well to be sure, I'm not having problems. He takes blood, runs the test, talks about how my enzymes. So you want to look at how other companies or how companies rate these investments on performance, and then looking at how they perform on the three. I never look at a performance of investment 1 year. I always look at the investment of 3, 5, and 10 years, and I look at investments that have been around 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, 80 years. I like consistency. So, and now that doesn't mean past results going to give you future results, but it shows that it's got a consistent management style if you use mutual funds. But even looking at stock, the CEO, the board members, how does company do over time? But you can't get it all right. But if you can pick 10 good investments and 8 of them do well, 7 of them do well over time, over a 10-year period of time, you're gonna be fine.
Man, Brother Fox, this has been nothing but jewels being dropped, and I mean, I wish we could extend the show another hour. We're about to dip out of here, but man, I thank you for coming on the show, because I mean, we still got questions coming in offline, and I don't know, John, if you have if Edwin Fox could come on the after show, man, that would be dope. And we could ask some more questions, but maybe we can even send you these questions in text. And as we vibrate a little bit for a few minutes in the after show, we can get those questions answered. But man, Brother Fox, I'm gonna see if I can get here in a little bit as we exit, get my engineer to take us out to a commercial break here in a minute to For the Love of Money by the OJs. With that being said, man, thank you for coming on the show. We definitely gonna have to have you on again, because it's just not enough time to continue talking about this, and there's more and more questions that are flowing in from our viewers online. So please, once again, thank you for coming and checking us out to the show, and we appreciate you, man. We're gonna have to have you back again.
Thanks for the invitation. I enjoyed it, and feel free, Mr. Brown, to call me back.
How can they contact you?
I like to share my knowledge.
Give us your contact information.
You can call my office, sure. You can call my office, 502-896-0084, 502-896-0084. Everything's confidential, and I love to share my knowledge. My dad used to say all the time, nothing worse than somebody going to the graveyard with a secret.
That's right. That's right. And you are that man. You will share that knowledge. That's a fact.
Absolutely. John was not lying. Hey, appreciate you, Brother Fox. And we'll see you next time we have you here on the show. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
All right. Hey, Mr. Engineer, you there? Mr. Engineer, Brother J has you there, sir? Hey, listen.
Go ahead, sir. You still on?
All right, listen. Can you take us out real quick? 30 seconds, For the Love of Money. We're gonna come back, do some sponsors, then we're gonna exit the show. You got me? All right. Let's welcome back once again to the Tipping Point Morning Show, folks. This was an amazing show. I want to make sure that we give a big shout out to healthdaddywow.net, folks. 100% organic based plant supplements healthdaddywow.net. Make sure you hit them up. They're right here locally in Louisville, Kentucky. You can walk up in there and you can say, hey, I heard it right on the Tipping Point Morning Show. Healthdaddywow.net. Once again, Sayababa. Let's see, SYABABA.com, baby, Sayababa.com. That is a BB2B trading that is owned by yours truly, brother John Ya. Folks, they're in over 400 locations. You'll find them incense, oils, things of that nature, soap, sticks, products. Folks, it is good stuff. Make sure you check them out, SYABABA.com and God'sLivesMatter.com, folks. Once again, check them out. Every life has infinite value. God'sLivesMatter.com. We will see you once again next week on the Tipping Point Morning Show. If you ever check us out, remember WLOUonline.com as well as Facebook.com. Check us out. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Over 70 years of serving the African American.
Man. I tell you what, that was amazing. And let's get back into it.
You are listening to The Tipping Point Show with your host, Mr. Just Ask Joe, John Ya. Right here on WLOU. Stream it live on Facebook and WLOUonline.com. And now, The Tipping Point Show.
I tell you what, man, that was a lot of great information. I mean, honestly, the hour flew by. I mean, we talking 50 minutes worth of financial content that I know advisors. I have friends who are advisors that charge for that time to sit there and get that type of information, bro. And we got it right here for free. That was dope. We're gonna have to do that again and have brother back on. But maybe you can send him these questions. I don't know if he wants to come on the after show here on video, but this one here is a great one. Can the brother speak on health savings accounts, HSAs, and how the cryptocurrency is changing the traditional investing market? That's a good one right there.
Now let me answer that one there.
Hold on, I'm not hearing you real well, bro. What's going on? Let me make sure it's. Let me make sure here. Hold on. Okay, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
No, I mean, yeah, it's like it's very, very faint.
All right, let me do something. Let me go out and come back.
Man, I don't know if it's on my end or what, but yeah, go ahead and dip out and come back in. You know, I hope y'all like that because that was an amazing amount of information that we got. Those were jewels, those were nuggets that were dropped. I know brother John Ya is jumping back in, but you know, that's a good one. Yeah, I love that. How the crypto market is changing traditional investing. No, sir. No, man. I tell you what, let me call your phone and I can at least have you on audio there.
Wait a minute, hold on.
But yeah, I'm not hearing anything. No, not hearing anything, bro. Man, I don't know. Like I said, I'm here. Can
you hear me?
There you go.
Okay. Okay.
Whatever that button was right there. That's it.
Okay. On the question of talking to, let me tell you about that. When you're talking to a financial advisors on that tip, when it comes to stock, they don't speak on cryptocurrency. Here's why. Like myself, I'm considered an old school investor. I like product, companies, and services. We don't invest in crypto because it can disappear as fast as it came. You can't touch it. It's not a service. You can't put your hands on it. And that's why I stay away from it personally. And so if you was to ask him, he can't tell you that on air, but he can tell you that in person. In other words, if you call him, he'll tell you the downfalls of investing in cryptocurrency. And the reason why, and I talked to him about this, and the reason why he won't say it on air, because so many young people are really hyped about it, and it would take them some serious studying to understand what is cryptocurrency for real. And so he would tell you that the best investment as an old school person is product, companies, and services, or product, people, and services, right? And so those are the investments that are more sound and won't just disappear. And that's very important. And one thing I would say is that when it comes to investment, he is so right about talking about investments at your table with your children. Because one of the things that me and my daughter and I had came across was, I remember her asking me, and this started the conversation years ago when she asked me, that we was talking about insurance and the insurance policy. And she said, what would you want me to do? What would you advise me to do if you was to pass and this money's passed over? And we got to talking about business. We got to talking about investments. And when I was talking about her about stocks and dividends, she actually looked up and started looking it up herself. And that's when she came across day trading. And she's been doing that ever since, and then been studying a lot of books. And now she owns her own brokerage company, where now a brokerage business, where now she's an insurance broker, right? And so, and when he said that, I said, it is so important to talk money. It's nothing wrong with talking money. We seem to have a problem about money at the table, as though that's a bad word or a stress word. And if it's a stress word, I can see why people don't talk about money. You always worried about your bills. And people say, I want to talk about anything else but money. But money is very important to talk about.
You hit the nail on the head right there. I think that's it. It's a stress word, and it's because of our relationship with money.
Yes.
Whereas on one side of the table, people see money as simply a commodity. It is a means to an end. It helps you get from one place to another. It has its purpose down here. But I think with our community, when you, then I don't know if maybe this is because when you don't have as much money, I don't know, but I feel like people put money, they hold such high esteem that they're not looking at it as a simple commodity, a means to an end, a vehicle to help you gain XYZ. It's almost a god, as to, and they have this emotional attachment to it, more so than they should, which if their pockets are a little bit empty, they don't feel right in the world. So when you start talking about money, if you ain't got none in your pocket, then they're not feeling the conversation. It's exactly. It's not nothing that they want to talk about. It's a stress factor. Like, you want to talk about making money, but my account is negative. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I think that's it right there when you start talking about that, because, but it's allow, I think stock investing allows people to start changing their relationship with money, how they see it, how they view it. And, especially if you got a guy like Brother Fox right there, he's going to drop jewels on you and help you understand, how you need to be viewing money.
And it's very interesting. And when he mentioned about a financial advisor, if whether you want to invest in stocks or not, and that's your interest, it doesn't matter. You should have a financial advisor anyway. You should have someone teaching you about how money works. If you own a business or you're thinking about owning a business, you better get a financial advisor under your belt that you can talk to. Because when I had my business for 10 years before I met this guy. And I mean, I sat with him. He was just dropping free information that I could have paid for, right? But he would allow me in his office. Man, we would go in. And I remember something, and I said it before, that he was going to set me up. He loved my business. He loved what I did. and how I built the business up. He was impressed with my connection with overseas. But he said to me, he said, I asked him, how can I scale it up? How can I to where I can offer stocks in my business? This is where he got me to where put my business as a S corporation, to where I can run it like a sole proprietor at the same time, and then flip it over to stocks. But he was going to set me up with these angel investors. Where I was looking for an investment up to about $100,000. And angel investors invest with you. They want their 10% back. Boom. They're not investors that want to stay with you and be a part of your company forever. They just want in and they want their money out. That's all they want, right? And I remember he told me I had to do a business plan. Well, it took me several months to get the business plan complete. But when I finished that business plan, I knew way more about my business than the 10 years I was in business. And when I started realizing that as I was doing the business plan itself, meaning the marketing part, meaning the forecasting part, and everything, right? The products, who's the customers, what demographics are they, what age are they? All this I started learning. It was jewels, right, that I was picking up. And then about time I got finished with my business plan, guess what? I didn't need any funds. I didn't need any funds to what I wanted to do with the business. So I tell everybody this, and this is a hard one, people to get. You don't know your business until you did a business plan. I don't care what business you in. You don't know your business until you have completed a business plan. And there's a book called the E-Myth, called the Entrepreneur Myth. And it explains the exact same thing, that you will know your business inside out. Some people can guess it and they'll do right well, but you still don't know the real ins and outs of your business until you actually complete a business plan. It'll tell you everything.
It's interesting, man, because I think that's a part of when you start talking about the disparity between the ADS community, the ADR community, American Descendants of Royalty community, and the European community, because you start talking about people who set things up in a more formal way, I guess you can say, you know what I mean? So when you start talking business, then it starting with the business plan is kind of the beginning, right? Whereas traditionally, we get the idea and then we're gonna go run with it instead of, doing that business plan and going from there, because the business plan is going to tell you a lot of things that you're going to need to know before actually starting the business, so it's interesting when you think about that. And it's like you said, you were 10 years in, and then it wasn't until you met this brother, did your business plan, that you really saw things different when it came to your own business that you had already been doing for 10 years.
Well, yeah, but I've studied a ton of books. I've studied guerrilla marketing, the E-Myth. I've studied the 1 minute salesperson. I've every area of my business. I had to learn accounting. I got QuickBooks. Every area of my business I had to learn myself. But I think I was missing something. The very technical part of the business, when I started doing the business planning, was asking me questions that I needed to fill in those certain areas. That's what happened. What's happened, Joe? Can you hear me?
What the hell's going on?
You still on? You froze up on your end, Joe. If y'all can still hear me.
Can you hear me there?
I can hear you. I can see you too on another screen and hear you on one.
Okay.
There you go.
There we go. All right. Man, I'm
this is my other unit there went out, and all of a sudden, you know, this I had to jump on a different unit. So either way, man. But you know, you were saying about business there. You had a couple things.
Well, yeah, I mean,
talking about.
yeah, I've studied a lot of stuff about business that really got me going. But again, I think the technical part where I needed to understand the demographics, my competition, how to understand my competition. Guerrilla marketing was one of the books that I think contributes to how I conquered so much territory with all the competition out there and moved the competition out the way. In other words, I now gain over 80% of the incense sales in Louisville, Lexington, Cincinnati. In Lexington, I got over 90% of the sales in incense itself. And so guerrilla marketing taught me how to get in the game, to move my competition out the way, or at least to get me in what is called the impulse aisle, right? And so these things, and again, check this out. Only 4% of people who start business, only 4% will make it. Out of 100 business, only 4 are going to make it, right? Only 4 out of 100. And so you really want to study whatever you need to study about business before you even get in it. And know your competition, know your demographic, who you're going after, who's going to be your customers, where your customers at, what is the ages of your customers. You need to know all of that to really be successful, to make 5 years in. And once you make 5 years in on a business, you are now a master. You now know what you're doing. When you are 5 years in totally, and it supplements your whole income. 5 years in, you done went through the whole storm of everything you need to know how to run a business, because in that 5 years, you have met all the obstacles that you're going to ever meet that's going to come at your business. And if you survive that, you are a master in what you do, particularly.
Wow. Okay. And you know, and I think that's important, you know, because like you said, what you did different was that you researched. So it wasn't just it was your passion for it that pushed you to say, you know what, let me continue to research and make this better. So I mean, I think that right there, you know, big credit out to you, in how you've accomplished what you've accomplished in business. So amazing. Any thoughts on as we look to you know, kind of I wasn't gonna hang out too long afterwards, but I mean, I just think that was some powerful information that we just went through, and I feel like we definitely have to have him on for another hour, man.
Yeah, here's something that I think that, you know, I would have loved to have a talk with someone on his level in his area of expertise. And this is why I asked him that question about inside of his industry, investing. Is there any rules that stops you or hindering you because of this color from gaining wealth? What I mean when I say that, if I invest in a company, do they care about what color skin I am? Do they say, well, we're only going to give you 1%, but we're going to give this white guy 5%? That's what I mean, because here's the thing. A lot of times our own demise or our situation is based on what we're doing to ourselves, not what someone else is doing to us. No one is stopping anyone from understanding money and how money works. No one is stopping anyone from you getting a business license, from you investing in stocks, from you investing in dividends, for you doing crypto or whatever you want to do. Nothing is stopping you. And so if the end game of life is the pursuit of happiness, if the end game of life, for me, the end game of life is my pursuit of happiness, right? That I'm fed, clothed, and housed, the pursuit of happiness. And with a little extra, I can build generational wealth that can make sure my children are fed, clothed, and housed. And if that is the main issue, who is blocking you from achieving those goals? And if we can identify that, because in other words, we're pointing the finger at so many things, but you can't tell me what's stopping you from feeding yourself, clothing yourself, and housing yourself. And if you can't tell me those things, then you can't bring racism or the white man, this and that in my face. I just see these as obstacles because I removed those obstacles and I don't see nothing stopping me from feeding myself, clothing myself, and housing myself. I don't see nothing blocking me. I don't see nothing blocking me from gaining more wealth. I don't see no cap that I can go in every city in the country. I don't see no cap stopping me. I'm in 3 cities. I don't see no cap stopping me from going to New York, Columbus, Dayton, or the more cities. It's just a matter of whether I want to get up and go there or not. That's it, right? So we got to understand what's blocking us. What is our relationship with money? We just talked about one of the things we're afraid to talk about money is because of our stress over money. So you got to ask yourself, what is blocking you from gaining wealth? Because the only way you can get out of this condition you're in is wealth. Is currency. That's the only way you're going to get out. Whatever condition you are in, how much money would it take you to get out of that condition? There's money. There's the bottom line. There's some money there. Name it. Oh, I'm broke. There's some money there. Oh, I need a house. There's some money there. If anything you need that's blocking you, there's money there that can get and overcome your situation. And that's the question. Are you having a blockage of wealth and it's only you that's blocking you?
Exactly. No, you're right. You're right. You know, it's a situation that, like I said, a lot of us are contortionists. We have our own foot on our neck. You know.
Yes.
But yeah, man. So but yeah, that was a great build, and I think that in all honesty, man, people need to, just like people are learning in our community now more so to seek out a mental health specialist. I think it's important that people focus on seeking out a financial advisory specialist because, again, you cannot do what you do not know, and that is a person that's their expertise. Now, we can go grab books, read, and learn the same information.
Yes, we
can. The question is, are you going to do it?
Right.
So if you know that you're doing a lot of talking and you haven't done it yet, then guess what? You need to go and do it. Right? So with that in mind, man, then there's a lot of us out there. If you're not going to do it, if you're not going to go seek out the information about the stock market, this, that, and the other, guess what? Go hire somebody.
Yes.
And look at it as an investment. It's a tax write-off. Nonetheless, whether you in business or not, whatever you pay to sit down with a financial advisor, if you pay, sounds like with brother Fox there, that it's not going to cost you too much, if anything, to just sit down and ask him a couple questions to make a decision whether or not you want to hire him. So go do it.
Yeah, he will talk to you free. He will. That's one guy I know. He'll give you plenty of information. Right?
Man,
his office free.
He was right out the gate. He was right out the gate, boy. He ain't even introduced himself. He was like, "Hey, I need to talk to y'all about money." Like he was just waiting for this, boy. So that was cool, man. That was cool having him on. But definitely, man. Shout out to everybody, man. Kari Muhammad, shout out to you, brother. Frank Stoner, shout out to you, brother. Hamara Mathis, shout out to you, sis. Biz Buzz, shout out to you, sis. Keisha Williams, shout out to you, sis. Miss Myers, Phyllis Churchill Myers, shout out to you. Appreciate y'all stepping on and commenting, asking questions, things of that nature. This was a good build this week, and definitely something that it's a conversation that needs to be had even more. And in one hand, I'm kind of, it seems like we should have even more people, building with us in that conversation. But it's all good. I think next week, man, or not next week, but at some point in the future, we're going to have that brother back on and do another build with him, because that was good, and maybe even get some people to message us some questions that they have as well in advance, so that we can try to get even more of those questions in for him to answer.
Yeah, and let me close with this right here. When he mentioned about how to invest, or what should you invest in, and he mentioned, what do you use, what do you wear? Like I got a Nike hat on. Well, you would think I need to go and buy me some Nike stocks, right? Since I'm a billboard for Nike. And so that's how you look at it. If you like Nike, if you like Pumas or whatever shoes you wear, go see if they offer some stocks and dividends, and just go get you a piece. Go put up $200 or $300 and just have a little piece of it. I guarantee you, if you get a little piece of stock, you're going to feel good about wearing that clothing item. You're going to feel good because it's part of you. Think about it. Just that little small appreciation. So that's how you look at it. What food do you buy often? What is it that you buy often? You should look at owning a piece of that, because you know why? You know they've been around for a while. You know they make a quality product, right? And there it is. That means that
if it's something that you like, then you should definitely. And that was actually the first thing that I learned when in asking that question. Somebody said, okay, they said, look at companies that you yourself use. You know, if you use it, then, and you like it, other people use it and like it. So, you know, that would be my first thing to tell anybody. They say, hey, buy companies that if you got an iPhone, you should own some Apple stock. If you had owned Apple stock this year and you participated, you know, the stock split, you know, and now that stock is climbing back up. So, you know, it's a trip, but he's right, man. That conversation is not being had as much on at the table as us. And, you know, I was trying to make a joke earlier, but, you know, white people food being bland and whatnot. So they could take breaks and start talking about other stuff and this, that, and the other. They're going to talk about it because the food ain't that good. So, you know, with us, we just, you know, man, mama, these greens. So, you know, we ain't too much conversating about anything, you know, other than some gossip. But no, man, it's the whole mentality of things, because, you know, if what you're listening to on a daily basis is about business and money and things of that nature, you probably gonna find yourself in more circles with people where you're gonna have conversations about business and money. You know, whereas if you're listening to, you know, I guess bullshit ratchet music every day, then you're gonna find yourself in conversations with more people about bullshit ratchet music. You know, so you know you got to do more of what it is that you want than other than in order to get where it is you want to go. So, you know, that's what it is. You're gonna vibrate. You're gonna pull closer to you what it is that you putting out. So think about what's coming in.
Yes, sir.
All right, bro. It's been a good build. I appreciate you.
All right, brother. Appreciate you too. See you next week.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Peace.
You are listening to The Tipping Point Show with your host, Mr. Just Ask Joe, John Yeah. Right here on WLOU. Stream it live on Facebook and WLOUonline.com. And now, The Tipping Point Show.